Hello and welcome. It's Matthew David Hurtado, the Minister of Allowing. And it is Memorial Day weekend in the United States. So happy holiday if you're out there tuning in tonight. Not sure who's going to be here or not, but I've got a presentation that just came through me in the last couple days. God's put some things on my heart, so I wanted to wrap it all up and put it out there for you. So tonight we're going to actually have a real presentation, and I'm going to go through some PowerPoint and some pre-recorded video, not long video, just a few segments. Welcome everybody. Good to see you guys as well. I see Sabrina here. I see Luke, Brian, Beverly. Awesome to see you guys. It really is. I'd rather spend my holiday with my family. You guys are like the family. Okay, Vito, good to see you here. Abel and Judy, welcome. And as you can see tonight, we're going to talk about God's business versus your business and stepping into permanent prosperity and kingdom provision. Is it possible to step into permanent prosperity and kingdom provision? Well, we're going to talk about that tonight. And my aim and objective for you is by the end of this, you'll be convinced in your heart that you have the capacity within you to live in a state of permanent prosperity, and it will be an attitude that you can carry throughout your life, and that attitude will make you imperturbable to belief such as the ebbs and flows and all these other man-made ideas that have to do with provision, because provision is guaranteed when you are atoned. Welcome, Bobby. So I'm going to get started here. Some people will come on late, and if they do, they can just catch the replay. Everything will be on the replay. And let's get down to business. So the first thing I want to talk about is, before we begin, there's a picture of me at the third workshop, Monona Terrace. That was a very fun workshop for us. But I want you to know some of the things that we teach and we repeat over and over are the fundamentals of the game of life. My hockey coach, the late Bob Suter, who was, a champion his whole life, from high school state championship to the collegiate national championship to the United States versus Soviet Union victory, 1980 Miracle on Ice. He had a legacy of winning constantly. And also his son plays in the NHL. His brother played in the NHL. These guys knew how to win. And Bob always taught me that fundamentals are the key to the game. Mastering the fundamentals is how you master the game. And the game of life is no different. So here are some of the techniques, the fundamentals that I always encourage everyone to learn and to master. First would be the ABC break process, and then the safe touch method. And you can learn more about these if you want to text the word ABC or SAFE. You can get it to that number, 608-530-6658. And you can learn the processes that I'm talking about, the techniques. They're for consciousness to help you get into alignment. Or you can text the word allow or ask, and you can have either one of those books sent right to your smartphone, right to your device. And you can read those books whenever you want. Keep it right on your device. They have the techniques and the tools in there. Or you can text the word menu, which I also recommend, and you can pick up some of the nighttime subliminal audio recordings that I have and other things. And these were all designed for prosperity. They're designed to build a foundation of prosperity that will lead to a lifetime of wealth, happiness, and harmony. These are the things I've discovered over the past 8 to 10 years on a voracious journey of wisdom. And as you know, my journey began in 2009 on this, when I left my former life as a fitness guy, and I was bedridden for almost 2 years. So that life was behind me, so to speak. And then I started to seek God, and I was able to not only, manifest a 6-figure and a 7-figure income when I had no clue how to do it. I was also able to get my health back to where I train like a pro athlete. I trained twice a day. I did my 5 miles today. I also did my deadlifts in my back, workout, all that stuff at age 42. So this is me at age 42, and I'm in better shape than I was when I was half my age. And a lot of that has to do with the mind-body connection and with wisdom. So it's all related. And I want to talk about all that because wealth and prosperity is all the above. It's not just money. It's health, happiness, relationships, money, all of it. That's what real prosperity is. That's God's will for you. So if you want those things, just text in, have them, or you can just go to MatthewDavidHurtado.com, my name, and I'll talk more about that later. So anyway, this right here is a short video that I just made, and I want you to watch this and hear it. It's about alignment. It's about getting into alignment, and this is what I discovered when I reflected on how did I make the big money? You know, when I went from 0 to 7 figures fast, everybody talks about law of attraction and alignment. Here's what God gave me that is on my heart. I want you to hear this. So let me know you can hear the sound quality. I'm going to push play, and I'll check in to see how you guys think about the sound. It's Matthew David, and I want to give you a couple tips when you're working on manifesting, let's say your own business, your own prosperity, and you want to be able to draw in large sums of it. So stay tuned. I think you're going to love this. So the first thing you want to know is that your vision, in terms of like what you're envisioning, your creative power of imagination, determines the amount of provision that comes into your life. Now, that's just a given right there. So we're going to put that aside and assume that that's just a given in the rest of the equation that I'm going to give you. So these are two of the pitfalls that I discovered in my many years as an entrepreneur. And I spent a whole decade in my 20s making these mistakes. And these mistakes, I truly believe, are what allowed me to stay stuck and to not get ahead. All right. So the first mistake that I made was that I started to make it about taking care of me. Like when I wanted to be an entrepreneur, it was because I wanted, you know, the flashy cars, the big houses. I wanted to be important. I wanted to be, you know, somebody, you know, who made it, who arrived. I wanted to be that guy. And nothing really worked out for me at that time. All right. And the other problem I did was, number two, is, you know, I resented a lot of people, like, you know, my former bosses and people that I didn't want to be part of their world anymore. So here are some spiritual laws that you should consider if you want to make this a lot easier. The first and foremost thing that I always teach when I teach the 3-2-1 prosperity formula at my website, MatthewDavidHurtado.com, is obviously number one is the tithe, you know, coming into covenant with God, making God your partner in your business. That obviously goes without saying, all right? Now, to correct the first problem, the first time that I made substantial success, like I mean 7 figures, you know, was when I had a mission. And it wasn't about me. It was about truly serving other people and really being a star on a team. And it wasn't about, you know, having everything stick to me, you know, because like Neil Donald Walsh says in one of his videos, what goes through you sticks to you. Well, what you make happen for others happens to you. So I wanted to be effective as a star on a team. And because I played in that capacity, it was a very similar capacity to a job. So you see that this whole dynamic here is that when you're on a job, you're part of a team. And, you know, you're part of a whole. You're not the whole, you're part of a whole, but you're, you know, a very integral part. Well, the same thing with a business enterprise is that if you make it all about you and all of the money's going to stop at you, well, money doesn't like to stop. Money likes to circulate. It's currency. And so selfish desires and selfish gains are not that powerful. The force behind them is pretty weak, actually, because it doesn't really serve God's purposes. It's, you know, for the purpose of all is really the way you get this done. So when I was on that team, my whole desire was to make a lot of money for everybody. Okay, I wanted everybody to become very prosperous, everybody's lives to be enriched. And then the end consumer, I wanted them to have access to the products so their lives could be healthier and happier. So to me, it was win-win for everybody, and I had a mission. I wanted to share my story with everybody because I believed wholeheartedly that what I was offering had incredible value. That made everything effortless. Okay, that made the best qualities inside of me rise to the surface, and it also made me very rich. Okay, during that season, that's when I did that. Now, the other thing is resentments. Well, I didn't have any resentments at that time. I was so focused on the mission that I didn't have time to be, they say people talk about three things. Little minds talk about people. All right, medium minds talk about things, and great minds talk about ideas. Well, I didn't have time to talk about people. So I didn't get caught up in the he said, she said things. I was on a mission. And so naturally, I included everyone in my love. Okay, now when you start excluding people from your love in terms of holding bitterness and resentment toward anyone, well, what that does is that blocks your ability to experience the good that you're asking to call in. And so these two keys are very powerful. Number one is have a mission, make it about a larger perspective than you. Make it about enriching everyone involved, and you're just a part of the process. And it'll stick to you as it comes through you. Okay. Number two is keep everyone in your center of love. Don't exclude anyone in any form of bitterness, hatred, resentment, anger, or jealousy. Just keep everyone in the center of your love, and then watch the dynamics change as the spiritual laws of prosperity align, and things will get a lot more smooth and simpler for you. God bless. Okay, so I hope you guys got some insight from that. The main thing I really wanted to emphasize there was that, I talk to a lot of people, and you ask them, what's your dream? What's your goal? Well, I want to make 10 grand a month, or I want to make 100 grand a month, or whatever. For what? What do you want to do with it? I want to be, I want to pay all my bills and have extra. Why? Why do you want to do that? See, get down to the bottom picture. See, the bottom picture for me, when it happened on a very, very fast level, I was sick and dying, and I couldn't stomach the idea of my family not having provision. And I said, I'm going to make enough to pay for everything. Even in the event that I don't make it past this illness, I'm going to gather up enough money fast enough so that everybody will be okay. And that was my mission. And my mission was also to be extremely effective on the team that I was on, because I knew that other people were counting on me. So it wasn't really even about me. I didn't even go out and buy all these expensive things until, the end of all of it, when it was already stacked up. So I want you to see that. And then resentment, I didn't have time to resent anybody. I didn't have time to play the games. I didn't want to, play petty games with people. I was so focused day in and day out. And you see, the only reason people fail is broken focus. That's it. I had no broken focus. I had complete focus. So if you're not succeeding, I'll tell you why you're not succeeding most often, because you don't have a reason why big enough to make this happen. Your reason why is too weak. Okay? Having flashy things doesn't matter. In your heart it doesn't mean anything. It can't be about that. You can have those things, but making it about that is futile. It's weak. It has to be about something, reptilian, survival, reproduction, and it has to be meaningful. And then you have to have it where it's going to enrich all, because what's good for one is good for all, and vice versa. And then that will compel you to get rid of all of the distractions, like sitting on social media for 10 hours a day, when you know that there are more productive things you could be doing, or going from one guru to the next, to the next, to the next, or one multi-level company to the next, to the next, to the next. People just do this in the attempt that they think the grass is greener on the other side, but what they're not seeing is the real reason why they're not prospering is because they're not in alignment, or they're also having secret anger, jealousy, resentment, and all these other things that they're holding against other people. and therefore they're holding themselves captive to those other people in that vibrational discord, and that vibrational discord becomes their own undoing. So anyway, you see this page here. I have some opportunities here that I'm opening up in 2019, and I'm pretty sure I don't know, they may or may not be around in 2020 because I'm building some new businesses behind the scenes. So I'm not sure I'll be doing this next year. We'll see what God has in store, but I'm building in a new direction. But right now, I have something called the Private Alpha Team Mentorship, and that's basically my one-on-one 10-hour mentoring package. People have requested it, and I shut the doors for a while in 2017, 2018, after I filled up my spots. But I have some spots left. If you want to do one-on-one mentorship with me, that's a 10-hour package. You can reach out to Sabrina. Basically have me as your coach in your corner, like I had Bob Suter, like every great person has. They have people in their corner. Then I also have the one-on-one VIP private workshop build out. So I had 8 spots open. I have 4 left. And that is, first of all, I'll tell you it's not cheap because it is a private workshop. It's from Thursday through Sunday, and it's like the Spiritual Millionaire Workshop, but it's just you, just me, from Thursday through Sunday, cranking it out for a lot of hours, all about your transformation, building your business, your custom transformation, whatever you're working on. So that's available. And the Spiritual Millionaire Workshop, you know, we have at least one more of these planned, and that's going to be coming up here soon on Sabrina's birthday, July 25th through the 28th. And the location is very beautiful. It's going to be, it's at the website, allowuniversity.com. You can see that. But these are 3 opportunities that are available right now if you want to be on a team with me and work at the highest level. And here's why you might want to consider it. On Tuesday, I'm investing in a 5-figure, okay, 5-figure mastermind group that will involve me with some of the highest paid internet marketers in the world. And I'll be part of their mastermind group for the rest of the year. And with that said, the cost of admission is not cheap. That's a 5-figure investment just to be on that mastermind team. But along with it comes, you know, first-class access to everything that's late and great and new and what's working and just the consciousness itself. That's why I invest in it, because wisdom is the best investment you can ever make, and association is the secret to success. So what I've done is I've made that available by proxy of being associated with me, where you could do a one-on-one with me at a fraction of the price, and maybe you don't have the 5 figures to flip on a tab to get into a group like that. Maybe you do, but it's available for until spots are gone, and Sabrina's managing all that. So if you want to reach out to her, you can do that at the number below, 888-550-8231. And like I told everyone, this next workshop is all about money, the Spiritual Millionaire one. We're going to up our game, and that's what I've done. And I realize what it takes. I talked about it a couple videos ago. It takes training, it takes a strategy, and it takes expectation. It takes all 3 of those things to scale up. And who you are surrounded with is more important than what you know. And so I solved the problem of who I'm surrounded with by reaching out to the dream mastermind team that I want to be a part of and gaining access. So that's what I'm doing. So it's up to you what you're going to do, but there are some opportunities out there. And if you like it, reach out to Sabrina and you can take access to some of this stuff. So here is the key to finances, and is called financial management. That's the key to your finances. You see, if you're faithful with a little, you'll be faithful with plenty. And now we're talking about God's kingdom. I'm not talking about the world's ways. I'm not talking about, you know, hustling. I'm not talking about grinding. I'm not talking about, you know, working 17 hours a day. I'm talking about how God's kingdom operates. So if we take a $10 income as an example, now this is a secret that, you know, I'm not racist or prejudiced or whatever, but I've met very few Jewish people who are poor. And a lot of the Jewish people have a lot of insight that I know into making a lot of money. And as I was discussing some of the principles with a very successful Jewish friend of mine and my understanding of the Bible, we had an agreement on what we see eye to eye on. And I wanted to show you this because if you take a $10 net income as an example, well, the 10% of that would be $1. You see, it's one little bucket here. That's like separating these. You see, I'm talking about separating these currency flows. Look at money as a currency. Don't look at it as something that it's just currency. All right. It's a symbol for currency coming through your life. And if you're faithful with a little, you'll be faithful with plenty, and then you can scale it up. So God's money would be $1. That's the tithe. That's puts you in the covenant. Okay. And then you have your storehouse. You got to have your own storehouse, because to him who hath shall be given more, and to him who hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. You cannot feel impoverished and attract prosperity. All right. So the tithe sets up expectation. It also sets up currents of favor to you. Now, the storehouse that you have sets up the feeling of having, because you have the discipline to pay yourself first, which is one of the key disciplines of all wealthy people. Now, number 3 is another part of the Bible that's commanded. It's giving in alms. Now, alms is what I call secret giving. This is what you don't tell other people about. This is also a 10% principle. So when you give an alm, that's when you give to the poor, you give to the needy, etc. Most people go around bragging about how they gave money to charity. Well, that's ridiculous. It says in the Bible that you've received your reward already the minute you bragged about it. Instead, you keep it in secret, and you do this in private, and God promises that he will credit you for every dollar you put into that. It will come back to you, okay? See, you keep your giving, that's an alm, you keep that in secret to the poor, to the needy, and that's also commanded in the Bible, to give to those less fortunate than you. Now, the other one is investing, and that's a $2, see? And this goes into putting your money to work for you. So these are all biblical principles. These are principles that some of the wealthiest people subscribe to. And if you understand how to manage a little, you'll understand how to manage a lot. So here's an example of how this works in real life and how I'm imparting it to my children. And I want you to see this video, because the miracles are happening. My 11-year-old son got cut off from his, daddy giving him money all the time about 2 years ago. And I told him this last year that he's going to start studying wisdom. He can start working at the warehouse part-time, and he can start buying and selling things, whatever he wants. I let him homeschool, so he's learning entrepreneurship. And I said, you're on your own. You're going to make your own money. This summer, you can start a business, mowing lawns, whatever. It's between you and God now. And I want to show you what's happening and what he understands, because I think it's very important. I'm not going to disable him. I'm going to enable him by giving him proper counsel and teaching. Everyone, this is George Anthony. He's my son.
Hi.
And it's Matthew, just going to kind of guide this along. But I want to talk to you about teaching children how to walk in God's kingdom, and how cool it is and how important it can be. So George, tell them a little bit about what do you do when you get money right away? Like how do you handle money?
Well, I tithe 10% to God, and then I put 10% to my business.
Yeah. And what
and
else?
I also get 10% to myself.
Right. So you do the 3 tenths, right?
Yeah.
So the first tenth is God's money.
Yep.
And the second tenth is to go to expand your money,
Yeah.
right? And then you also save some for your own storehouse, right?
Yep.
What are some things that you've noticed by living this way with money that you've seen God do for you?
Well, within the past month, I've gained 1, 2, 3, 4 transformers that are quite expensive. I gained 4 of them.
Very good. What else have you noticed?
Well, I have been, like right now, my dad's driving me to my friend's house, and I've gotten more things.
Yeah. Have you gotten some things that you know that you couldn't have saved on your own to buy that God's gave to you?
Yes, like all of my transformers I couldn't have bought without that.
Yep.
Because these 2 transformers together were $50, and I couldn't jumped over that.
You remember the bike that you got that one time?
Yeah.
How did that work out?
You mean my current bike that I have?
Yeah, didn't you just, somebody gave that to you or something?
Yeah, my cousin, he didn't want it anymore, so he gave it to me, and I fixed it a little bit, and I learned how to ride.
Cool. So you talked about faith, and you talked about how you use your faith.
Yes.
How are some of the ways that you use faith?
Well, I want to go to my friend's house today, but I didn't know if my dad would drive me through the rain. And right now it's supposed to be raining for an hour. It's supposed to be raining right now, but I prayed that it won't rain, and I had faith, and it rained for like 5 minutes.
And it's sunny out now.
Yes, it's bright.
Yep. You've done this before though. How else have you done this?
I also, again today, I also did this for going to my friend's house. I said a prayer and I had faith that I could go, but I also imagined myself going to my friend's house as if I already was there.
Ah, so that's the secret, right? Because you prayed believing that you already received.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you imagined it, how did that feel when you imagined it?
Well, at first I felt like excited about it.
Yeah.
But when I imagined it, I made it realistic, so it wasn't like super realistic. Like I imagined, like right now, like barely, like my dad was about to leave, but then last minute I was able to go, and that happened. So
yeah.
I made it realistic, and I also imagined it.
So if you were going to tell somebody about, just how this, do you like living this way? Do you
Yes.
feel it's a blessing to you?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Well, that right there, guys, is just wisdom applied, and it's great. I love seeing my son walk in God's blessings.
Yes.
All right, take care, guys. All right, so now when he's talking about going to his friend's house, I want you guys to know that that's not just down the street. That's an hour there and an hour back. So, he really manifests this stuff. I mean, he really does walk by faith, and he earns his own money, and he comes up with the things I told him I'm not buying him a bike. You manifest it, and he manifested a bike. See, God is his real father. I'm his earthly father, so I'm teaching him how to live accordingly. So it comes down to this. Which kingdom do you serve? You see, mammon is not like you can't serve mammon and God. It's not, mammon doesn't mean money. Mammon's a spiritual kingdom. Okay. That's a way of living. That is like adhering to another kingdom. So here's how you know you're adhering to that kingdom, because you can't serve both. You're chasing money. You have a belief that there's competition, opposing minds, supply and demand, ebbs and flows, political, social, economic, world beliefs. All of these things are part of the spiritual kingdom of Mammon. It's the Babylonian debt system. And the fruit of that is you see most people working for selfish gain with a survival mentality. Now remember, contrary to that, when I said I made the most money ever, I wasn't working for my selfish gain. I was working to provide for the people I love. And that is a major, major consciousness shift, all right? Because that was God's kingdom. See, God's kingdom is a separate reality altogether. It has a different set of laws. And when you look at it this way, you don't work for yourself. It's not your business. It's God's business. And instead of asking your business what it can do for you, you ask your business, what can I give to my business from love? And in essence, how can I add the infinite intelligence, the creative ideas that are constantly bestowed upon me from the divine mind, from God? How can I translate that through love into that business for other people, not for myself? And as you do that, you are operating in God's kingdom. And then it's between you and God. Man is not your source. God is your source. So God's economics, there's always an equal balance. You see, Ezekiel 18, verse 29, O house of Israel, are not my ways equal? Are not your ways unequal? You see, God's ways are not man's ways. They're usually the opposite. Now, God provides, not man, and what blesses one blesses all. It's all built on honesty, value creation, and enriching everyone. And the more you leave yourself out of it, the better. That's what I've discovered. Just remember that if you create it and you make it happen for others around you, it's going to come upon you as well. So let's do a reality check. I want to show you law of attraction. Everybody talks about how to be in alignment with money and the law of attraction. Let me show you how to do that. Let me show you how simple that is. Here it is. What do you feel inside about finances? Okay, the world system, the Babylonian debt slave mentality. If you feel worry, fear, frustration, lack, stress, and greed, those are the hallmark of the world system. That's poverty conscious. Most of the world lives poverty conscious. They live in lack. They retire broke, dead, or disabled. They always have never enough. Okay? That is a way of being. That is a way of adhering to the mammon spiritual kingdom. You see? That's a energetic thing that comes from the heart, because the heart is emitting a frequency all the time, and it creates the world through your own hologram, basically, if you want to look at the quantum physics of it. And so for all of you law of attraction freaks out there that love the law of attraction, I don't mean freak as a bad thing, but if you're totally into it, this is the vibration you're setting up. If you don't have enough money, you're setting up worry, fear, frustration, lack, stress, or greed. Now, the times when I've had the very, very most money, and the times when I suspect you will have the most money in your life, is when you are adhering to these attitudes towards life: freedom, excitement, trust, giving, love, and non-grasping. See, this is God's way of being. This is God's way of doing things. This is getting in alignment with the way God likes to do things so that you can become more God-like. And if you become more God-like, you become more rich just as by a default, because you're becoming more God-like. So freedom is paramount. Being excited about being excited is the goal of all goals. Trust, as in letting God do the mysterious for you. Trusting that your seed will be granted if you put in the right soil, okay? Giving, coming from a place of giving and not grasping, okay? And everything is based on love for all. And that is Money Attraction 101. If you want to master the law of attraction, here's your attitude right here. Come into alignment with this, and you won't ever have to read another law of attraction book in your life. I promise you. There's no reason to. So the 3-2-1 prosperity formula that I developed was part of my learning curve when I developed this 3-2-1 as I was going from 0 to 7 figures. So the mechanics of the 3-2-1 that I teach for free at MatthewDavidHurtado.com, this website, you can get that, and you can also learn the Knights Templar, Triveca manifesting, how to use, symbols to create, etc. All that you can learn free on my website. And I always talk about it because it puts you back into alignment, and every part of it is equally important. So that's available to you, and you can always repeat it if you need to, and just stay in alignment. And there's also 5 new articles to prosper you that are up on allowministries.com. Just launched the new ministry website. It's obviously very new yet. There's a lot to come, and there will be some editing. I know that the articles, I had them written by someone that's foreign to the English language. So, if you see a couple typos here and there, just, please just look for the content for now. All this stuff will be edited later. But right now, it's up with 5 powerful articles. If you want to increase your prosperity and you like to read, that's a good way to get information. And I'll keep adding to those as time goes on. It'll be a powerhouse of information down the road. And so that's available to you. Now let's do our Bible reading for tonight. And if you're with me and you want to follow along, Dr. Stuart Swerdlow has a really cool book. I talked about it, in fact, in the 3rd workshop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the name of this book now. So in case you guys want to give him some props for seeing this and get this book, I recommend you do if you like it. Let's see what it's called here. Healing Archetypes and Symbols. It's on Amazon. And it has these symbols you can use because symbols program consciousness. That's why they're on the dollar bills. They're on everything. That's why we use symbols in the world. Okay, they carry instructions to the crystalline structure of the body that goes beyond the conscious awareness, and it programs the DNA through the environment. All right. Now, this symbol here has to do with God mind. All right. This one's powerful. We're going to use this one right now. This one is all about letting go and letting God guide you, or source guiding you at all times. It's about putting you into alignment and being anchored deeply with your oversoul and the God mind to stay centered, calm, and balanced. Okay? So this is awesome right here. So take this code and just imagine yourself breathing it into your third eye. That's right between your eyebrows, about an inch back, and just rest it right there on your pineal gland. I'm going to do it with you. And then breathe it out. I like to breathe it down to right below your navel, right down the spine. And just let that code sit in your crystalline structure. So as we bring the God mind in, we're going to read a passage from the Bible that I pulled out in Proverbs 23. Now, Proverbs 23 is a 23. 23 is death and rebirth, according to Masonic knowledge, numerology, etc. And the death of the little version of you, the mortal consciousness, the fake version in the flesh, and it's the rebirth into spiritual enlightenment. And this is as a man thinketh in his heart, which is one of the most powerful parts of the Bible, in my opinion. So let's look at this, and I want to show some revelation of how God speaks to me through these scriptures. So when thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee. Now, a ruler is the mind, okay? When you sit down to listen to your mind, consider what you're about to understand here. It says, put a knife to thy throat, if thou be a man given to appetite, okay? Now, appetite, that means you're going to devour the wisdom of the world, okay? Be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meat. See, the world's knowledge is all deceitful. It's all based in lies, deception, and fraud. And so that's why it's going to talk more about how people are walking around drunk, etc. It says, labor not to be rich, cease from thine own wisdom. You see, if you labor for selfish gain, you don't have any power. You see, when you turn it over to God and you live by kingdom principles, you're much more powerful. The way to riches is truly the opposite of what most people are doing. Wilt thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle toward heaven. You see, the riches of this world are not, because every good thing comes from above. So instead of chasing mammon, that's what it's telling you, chase God. Eat thou not the bread of him that hath an evil eye, neither desire thou his dainty meats. Well, what has the evil eye? It's the 666. It's the mind of the deceitful one, right? It's the who, what, when, where, why, and how. It's the doubt. It's the fear. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee. All right. So as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. So we're talking about these principles here throughout this whole Proverbs 23. And I'm just going to pick apart some parts here that I think are important to understand. But if you have the proper contextual foundation, you can read the scripture in its, what I call the other meaning. And that meaning is usually the real meaning. So let's look here. It says, thou shalt beat him with a rod and shalt deliver his soul from hell. It's talking about beating your children here, right? And that's in the physical, fleshly realm of learning how to read this. And the way that I read it is a little different, okay? I don't really beat my children, but it says correction for the child. If thou beatest him with a rod, he shall not die. And so what I'm understanding from reading this is that Beating with a rod is really correcting with the word of God. You don't have to beat someone to correct them. You can actually just hold the correct understanding of who they are in your consciousness. So if my daughter comes to me and she says she's having dark, deceitful thoughts and she's not happy with her life, etc., I don't buy into that temptation to believe that that mind is truly my daughter. So what I do is I'll look her straight in the eye and I'll see her in her splendor as she truly is, the expression of God, of perfection made manifest. And I will speak to that part of her, that conscious, erring belief system, and I will command it to get out. I will beat it with a rod in that way. I will cast it out. That is no part of her reality. So that's the way that I look at it. Some people do actually beat their children. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not judging anyone, but I don't personally feel the need to do that. So let's go on a little further. So let not thine heart envy sinners, but be thou in the fear of the Lord all the day long. So the Lord is all capitals here. So L-O-R-D is all capitals. And that to me is the spiritual, that's God's mind, okay? The capital L, small O-R-D in the Bible, that has to do with your attitude towards life if you're living in the flesh, like how you're relating to the God principle. But the L-O-R-D that's capitalized is the mind of God. So fear of the mind of God means to revere it. It means to put no other gods before it. It means to have no graven images. It means to not see with your sight. It means to see with spiritual understanding. Just like the example I said, if my daughter would come to me and she would have the appearance of being downtrodden, depressed, etc., the fear of the Lord would suggest to me that I don't walk by sight, I walk by wisdom. I know that she's the expression of God. I revere the truth that there shall be no graven image put before me, so I see only the splendor and perfection of all that she ever is, will be, or was. It doesn't matter. She's always perfect in God's mind. So this is a totally different understanding than most people will read it to you. For surely there is an end, and thine expectation should not be cut off. So let's go back. So it says right here, be not among wine-bibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. So if you eat according to the flesh, it means you live according to mammon. It means you live according to flesh consciousness, the material, mortal mind. And a wine-bibber, it's going to go on, it means you're drunk. You're drunk. Jesus declared everyone drunk when he came on the planet, according to the ancient Apocrypha. All right, so the drunk and the glutton shall come to poverty. Now that means if you lean on your own understanding and you live according to the world, you will come to poverty, just like 95% of people who retire broke, dead, and disabled on this planet. This has been going on since the beginning of time. This isn't a new thing. And drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. So if you live according to the flesh, you are living in rags. You are living in the perishable part of existence that is not real. It's the shadow of the truth. You're a spiritual being. You never had a physical existence. You never left heaven. Now, it goes on, but the main parts I wanted you to see is what I just declared to you. And I'm not going to read all of this. You know, for the whore is a deep ditch and the strange woman is a narrow pit. You know, it's talking about, you know, the whore is to have a mind outside of God. All right, the whore of Babylon. That's the world system. That's the mammon system, the whore of Babylon. Now, so at last it biteth like a serpent and stingeth like an adder. So that's the main understanding in that whole book right there, that whole scripture is that. And if you get that, then you understand what I'm about to read to you now. And so if you have a business, I want to read to you what I've discovered in a little Christian Science book I found at one of their reading rooms. There was a part that really spoke to me. And I want to talk to you about how God's business has nothing to do with man's way of doing business. So this is the book right here, if you ever want to find it. And if you go to the page 24, this is the story I want to read to you right here. Now, this is about provision being always guaranteed. A merchant in a country town during the spring and summer months of each year conducted a chicken hatchery. One summer, his sales fell below expectations. On the advice of a friend, he sought the services of a Christian Science practitioner. Shortly after, the situation became acute. He did not have a single order, and his brooders were filled to capacity. His incubators in 2 days were due to begin hatching 10,000 more chicks, and he had no way of providing for their care. In this emergency, he called all of his customers on the telephone, but no one wanted any more chicks. Other hatcheries were in the same condition as his own. The market, the entire market, seemed completely glutted. The practitioner explained to him that under God's government, supply and demand are equal. The man asked if he ought to give away his product. He was advised not to do so, for a demonstration in Christian Science always provides a blessing for everyone concerned. The next day, his employees were very excited, for the new lot of chicks had begun to hatch, but he assured them that everything had been taken care of. That afternoon, a number of telegrams and special delivery letters arrived, all containing orders. By the following day, 11,000 chicks had been sold. When he examined these orders, he was astonished to find that all were from new customers and were from without the area in which he ordinarily did business. That God's ways are equal is always a provable fact. Now, can you imagine? Doesn't that seem like your life at certain times, that nothing's working, that it just all seems to have dried up, that you don't know what you're going to do? But you see what happened here. You see the principle. So what did the practitioner actually do when he called the practitioner to stand in agreement with him? Well, that's what they did. When two or more stand in agreement, there am I in the midst of them. So we stand in agreement that God's provision, protection, and promotion are unfailing, and God's government has nothing to do with man's opinions of ebbs and flows, good times, bad times, supply and demand. Those are all mammon. That's all mammon. You can't serve God and mammon. That's what this whole message is about. So choose this day who you're going to serve. So here's some final thoughts before I let you guys go, is the Spiritual Millionaire Workshop 6.0. There it is, the beautiful St. Kate. It's a brand new building in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And it'll be the best time of year, right in the middle of July, 25th through 28th. And we're going to be talking about the Internet Income Lifestyle Training. So that's what this one's about. So if you've been to one before, come do it again. Like I said, I'm putting a 5-figure investment to get hooked up with new mentors, new materials. Every year I have to upgrade. I suggest you do too. Everything stays fresh, relevant, current. And bring your A game if you're new and you're coming, because you're going to go through a lot. The training is very intensive. You're not going to be sitting around falling asleep. You're going to be doing things, and it's going to transform you from the minute you get there. So that's some idea for you. If you want to reach out to that, obviously you can call the number, talk to Sabrina. That should be 550-8231. That's an error right there. It's not 8232, it's 8231. I'm sorry about that. And allowuniversity.com has the correct information. And so the other thing I want to talk to you about is, this is the state of health that I have. And, at one time I was bedridden, and today that's, what I've understood to come to pass is that the body has secrets. And here's the secrets I discovered. Your body's bioelectric. There have been doctors that have discovered this, and they've proven it, and they've been quickly kicked out of the association. They've been blacklisted, banned, etc. But your body's bioelectric, okay? You're salt and light. There's currency flowing. And minerals are the greatest health discovery on the planet. Angstrom ionic size minerals, they help conduct that flow, and they also allow you to absorb everything else. And so in the 80s, the soil started becoming deficient. They started putting in not all of the minerals required, but just a couple. And with that said, the snack industry began emerging, and a lot of the munching and cribbing, they call it in the animal kingdom, where they're so deficient, the horses start eating the wood. Well, what do you think human beings do when they're deficient? They start cribbing, they munch, they snack. and they're becoming obese because they're deficient. They're overfed and malnourished. So today it's very common for me to go to the gym and to be able to work out with kids half my age and guys that think they're in really good shape, just to come to find out that they're really not in good shape at all, but they should be, but they're not. And it pains me to see how deficient they are. And I spent years discovering this stuff. But at monotomia.com, you can see my revelation with using the electrolyte pro, the magnesium, adding in the magic formula. Those are the three, and the ultimate fuel kit. And why is this important? Because get your energy up. Energy is everything. If you don't have health, if you don't have rock star health, if you're not crushing it, like in your physical movement, if you're not moving, then you're not living. I'm sorry. But if you sit on a computer all day and that's what you do and you don't move, you're not completely wealthy yet. You need to have vitality. You need to have vigor. You need to be powerful. And that's what the world's lacking right now, is powerful people, because they're all deficient and toxic. Those are the two pathways to disease, according to Raymond Francis in his best-selling book, Never Be Sick Again. And then DNA-evolve.com, I talk about the DNA Evolve. What these all have in common is how I use all these to create monotomics. Now, I put the electrolyte pro and the magnesium through a blender with magnets to release the single atoms that produce monotomics. And you can see I put the chakra chart here, because monotomics feed the nodes that are the collective hubs called chakras in your energy body, your extended world, and your inner world. They're one and the same. And they have to have currency flow, okay? And the chakras are the collective hubs where these monotomics store. And without these monotomics, your lamp grows dim and your consciousness becomes weak. And you can call it a conspiracy if you want. I certainly do, because it's predominantly all across the world now. Why are people getting more weak? They're getting wimpy. Well, because their life force is diminishing. Their life force is diminishing badly. Enough said about that. You know where to get the information if you want it. I walk the walk, I live it, and I want to share it because it's important. And then also, just to remind you that these are available. So if you want to rock it and you want to be on the alpha team, you want to work one-on-one on a 10-week package once a week for an hour with me on a Zoom call, you want to do a custom transformation, talk to Sabrina about that. She'll fill you in on the details. I probably will take about 6 to 8 more spots on that. And then I lock it down because I don't want to be too busy. I can't. I have way too many things going on. But the one-on-one VIP private workshop, I had 8 of these available. 4 of them are spoken for. And that is a one-on-one weekend with just you and I, where we do everything. You stay at a hotel, we put you up in it. We have our meals together. We work together. And we go through all of your ins and outs of your business, your whatever you're doing. And we just get right underneath and build a custom action plan and scale it up and just put you right on the path to success. And then the Spiritual Millionaire Workshop. Come meet a group of people. Come hang out with people just like you, like-minded, spiritual entrepreneurs, people that are doing good things in the world, that are highly conscious, highly evolved, and make friends for a lifetime. So that's all available. With that said, I think I'm just going to answer a few questions if you guys have any, and then I'll let you guys get out of here within an hour tonight. So did you guys get any good information from this? Good to see you. Julian's here, Gregory, Tom, Marcita, Natalie, Tricia, Brian, Jonathan's here, Shivam, Brian. Yep, I see all you guys. Tony's here, Nineveh, Dennis got here. And I think I said hi to everybody else. But if you guys have any questions, reach out, let me know before I let you go here. I got a few more minutes. And I hope you got something good out of this tonight. And, it really comes down to your reason why, those 2 principles, your reason why needs to be in check. Your reason why has to be real. Nobody does anything unless they are compelled to, especially today. Everybody's so distracted. They're so busy doing nothing. Usually people are busy doing nothing, working for other people, building someone else's dreams. You got to get serious about, life and death, man. What's this going to mean for you? That's what it was for me. I was like, I might not be here. I better do something epic right now. And that was my reason why. I made it epic. Trust me, it was epic. I went from a house with bugs in it that was 100+ years old to an 8,000 square foot mansion that cost $5.5 million to build. I did that in like 3 years. So if you haven't seen epic yet, then you should get yourself in a position and create epic for yourself at least once in this lifetime, so you have something that you can remember for the rest of your life. And why can you do it? Because the same kingdom is within you. You are an expression of the kingdom, and the kingdom is not limited. And God wants more for you than you do. That's the whole point. And so we want to tap into that. In health, step into power, step into movement. Get serious about your health. Don't let it slack just because you're getting older. I get healthier and stronger every year. I'm 42. I'm stronger than I was when I was 38. I'm faster than I was when I was 38. I'm stronger than when I was 21. When I played hockey when I was 19. I'm in better shape now. You should not be slacking just because the numbers of years have, added up on you. That's just a belief. That's a world belief. That's mammon again. That's just a consciousness of error. And your relationships. You should be manifesting love. You should be living with someone that, celebrates you. And if you're not, then you have to change that. Nobody else can change that for you. A lot of people in society, misery loves company. Unfortunately, most people in society are codependent. Codependence Anonymous. They're walking around with codependency, telling everybody else to live codependent too, so they don't have to face their own misery. And then when you go out and find someone and you build happiness, they frown upon you. That's just the way it is, unless you're surrounded by happy people. But most people are not happy because they're living backwards. So anyway, hope you guys got value. No questions on the board. I think I'll just I'll wrap it up and have a good rest of your holiday. And we'll probably go to once a week now for the live streams. I'm not going to do twice a week because I have a lot of commitments on the table. And once a week will be the appropriate frequency from here forward. And again, take advantage of some of these opportunities for 2019 that we have available, because I can't promise in 2020 they're going to be here, because we're starting to build new things in the background and starting to get excited about them. And that's going to take a lot of time. And we don't have much time. We have children. We have all those things going on just like you. So love you guys. God bless. And make something powerful happen this year for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones. You're worth it.